Okay, folks, we're gonna get into our Audit and Finance Committee. Just so the board does know, I do meet about a week ahead of time with the finance staff here to go over it, to make sure that I feel that I am, I know exactly what's going on here, so I'm very comfortable. And if there is issues that come up, I can also assist Linda on some of those issues. But I just wanted to let the board know that that's usually a trend that I do at least a week ahead of time every month, that I come up and go over every part of the financial situation with the authority on behalf of the board. So at this point, what I'd like to do is turn this over to Linda to talk about, which I believe is we're in a good position, our financial reports ending November 30th, 21.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. So as of 8 months in, ending November 30th, we have a $6.8 million gain. Operating revenues right now are still on budget, but still trending under our 2020 pre-pandemic level by 33%. Regular line revenues, although they're over budget right now, is kind of a net effect of fare box and pass sales being about $341,000 over budget, but New York State Fair revenues were about $165,000 under budget. Special line revenues trending under budget, and that's mostly due to the SU summer service that was canceled, and also the VA shuttle service that was canceled. Operating expenses trending about 8% under budget. As you can see, most of the lines are under budget except for workers' comp and purchase transportation. Workers' comp has been trending under or over budget because of the fact that people are going back and having the treatments, as we spoke about in other meetings. Purchase transportation trending over budget. You know, service there has trended back faster than our fixture service. Non-operating revenues are currently about 4% over budget, and that's mainly due to our mortgage tax performance, as we discussed.
Can we just have a little bit more of an in-depth, this mortgage tax is something that is very positive. We're not used to this type of run the last few years.
Yes, this is our third month having $1 million month in the fiscal year. So
I mean, that's good for the local economies too, when you see that.
Yeah.
Not good for the home buyers, but.
Julie, do you have a question?
No.
Okay. Yeah, but anyway, that's positive from an economic standpoint for the various counties. Linda?
So that's all I was going to point out on the November statement, unless you have some questions.
So, it's a nice statement to give. Maybe we can have that forever. So, with that being said, if there's not any questions for Linda, the reports are pretty well. I think we can understand without having an MBA. Need a motion to move this to the full committee for adoption. Julius, second. Tony, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Moving on to Central Medical and Dental Plan, Stop Loss Insurance. Jackie, this is interesting. We are self-insured, which means we pay dollar for dollar. It's fairly common with larger plans. It's fairly common with municipal plans. And it is also a risk when you talk about catastrophic situations that could occur where you have to access that stop-loss insurance. And that is at $250,000? 250. So
250.
Anything over $250,000, we have another insurance kicks in to help supplement the claims that are coming in, because we are paying dollar for dollar for those claims. Jackie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. First, I'm going to begin with our medical and dental claims for 2020 premium equivalent. As the chairman stated, we are self-insured, so therefore this past year has been kind of a little unusual.
No, hold on, Jackie, I want to explain something. When we say self-insured, we mean we pay dollar for dollar, okay? When you're fully insured, you're paying this premium equivalent, where the premium is all you pay. Okay, so it is a different animal. I just wanted to clarify that.
So one of our employees goes to the doctor negotiated rate from UMR, who was our TPA, third-party administrator. That, you know, so the doctor might wanna charge 110, but UMR's negotiated $90. Employee pays like $15 copay, and then the rest of it's paid by us, dollar for dollar. That's what, you know, Nick's talking about. So it's a very rich plan.
Yes, it definitely is, and of course, this past year has been a little unusual with COVID. The previous year, a lot of people stopped treatments. You know, there were elective surgeries that were stopped. So this year, of course, they went to the doctors more. They went, you know, they got their elective treatments or surgeries that were done. So we saw definitely a raise in our cost for the premiums for the claims that were paid. So our premium equivalent is based upon our future medical and prescription costs, industry trend, inflation, and large claims analysis. This year, what they did is they kind of looked back in our history too, along with including the increases that we're gonna see next year in the healthcare industry. And we're looking at a 6.25% increase to our premium equivalent for this year. In dental claims, we didn't even have a increase last year. However, this year we're looking at a 4.4% increase. Again, same thing that happened with dental. Everybody went back to the dentist this year to get their procedures done and everything. So we're looking at a 4.4% increase in premiums for this year, which the employer pays for. It's not, the cost is not on the employee. So we would need a motion to accept those two premium equivalents.
Quick question, what's the
I know.
It's an individual plus one.
I'm talking too
You and a
fast.
spouse,
versus family?
which is you and everyone, anything above two.
Yes. Any other questions?
Please don't ask for any.
Yeah.
But see, remember something, if you have catastrophic situations where you hedge that $250,000, okay, once the underwriters take a look at that, they're gonna say, okay, if you have more people involved with that, you're gonna get into a higher risk, which means you're gonna pay more.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we run
So
into
they-
sometimes.
So they work with our insurer and they laser out cases they think will be over the 250. And they lasered out 3 last year, and none of those 3 hit over the 50.
I'm just trying to, you're getting into my board report here.
Yeah,
Put him in his place, will you?
I know, you know.
and, you know, here's another thing, and, here's another thing, is that sometimes we think of only the employee here. It's not only the employee, it could be a spouse, it could be a dependent, okay? So you can have a spouse or a dependent that will cost the authority of $250,000. So we have to remember, it's more than just an employee when we're talking about health.
Be careful, you don't want her to.
Be careful, you don't want her
Brian and I are leaving. Okay, Jake.
Put in the minutes that Deb
Okay.
told me to shut up.
She told me to write what she says.
Okay, so, would you like me to go into the stop loss now?
Sure.
Okay. So, every year we have to renew our stop loss insurance, and this is what, Nick and Brian has been talking about. Any cases that we have.
Not talking about,
Well,
not allowed to talk about.
trying to explain, any, cases that hits over $250,000, we have an insurance that will kick in and pay those claims, those costs back to us after that $250,000. And it's per person. So it can be a spouse, it can be a child, it can be, a member here. Every year we go out and we canvass the market for stop loss carriers. Last year we switched to Sun Life because they gave us a really good, rate, last year, where we only increased the premium by 0.5%. this year, unfortunately, as you see, we canvassed, 3 carriers, Sun Life being the one that we currently have, Voya and Unum. Sun Life originally, when they quoted us, was at 29%, Voya came back at 18%, and then Unum came back at 35% for the premium. Sun Life, we went back to them to ask them for the best and final for the year. They gave us a 17.8% premium increase, so this is the one that we're looking at. Not only did they do that, they also removed the 3 lasered cases that we had the previous year. As Brian was explaining,
Trying to explain.
attempting to
Where she was
explain,
going, yes.
those 3 lasered cases were at $500,000. They removed each of those based on, obviously, we did not hit the stop loss on either of those 3 cases this past year. However, we did hit stop loss on 2 new cases, but they didn't laser those 2 new cases. So right now we're looking at a recovery of $150,000 that we've received on the stop loss for this past year. And the claims are still pending, so there might be a little bit more that we're receiving on those 2 current cases that we have for 2021. Therefore, I would recommend staying with Sun Life, and we would just need a motion to accept that.
As one,
Sure.
just, I think you said it, but I just,
Yeah.
laser.
So what they do is, if somebody looks like they're gonna hit stop loss every single year, they're gonna look closely at that claim depending on what their health is, and they're gonna set a different limit. Because our limit is at $250,000, they may say, you know, this person, we're gonna laser them at, last year we had $500,000.
So I got terminally ill, whatever, I need a leg, and, okay. So
Yes.
they're gonna laser me, and, okay.
Yes, and then we pay dollar for dollar up to that $500,000, and then we don't get reimbursed until the claims reach over that $500,000. So right now, this year, we're not gonna have any lasered cases, so everybody's back at the $250,000. And we would get recovery anything over that $250,000 that we've paid.
Got it.
Any other questions?
Good job, Brian.
Very good.
Am I allowed to ask a question?
Yes,
No, I'm just kidding.
you can ask whatever you would like.
This is a lot of work that Jackie does, and I just want to recognize her. This is not an easy task. Anytime you deal with insurance companies, it's not easy, so thank you for your Okay,
Thank you.
so, we need a motion to approve the medical and dental plan stop loss insurance renewals with Sun Life. Jackie, is that stated correctly? With
Yes,
Sun
no,
Life?
medical and dental is UMR and Delta Dental,
Yep,
the increases,
okay.
and then stop loss is Sun Life.
Okay, as stated, I need a motion. Okay, Robert, any discussion?
Luella, I so move.
Okay, we have a second by Luella, okay? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie, good job. Okay, Caitlin's got a bunch of stuff for us. A motion to approve the third-party administrator for medical services. Caitlin, good morning, how you doing?
Good morning,
I don't
Mr.
know if everyone
Chairman.
did.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, so the first resolution is for the third-party administrator for medical services. This will be paid for with operating funds. This request for proposal was publicly let on August 12th. We sent out 4 proposal packages and 12 additional packages were requested. On September 2nd, we received 2 proposals. And along with our consultant one group, the evaluation committee determined that UMR offered the most advantageous proposal. So as we discussed with Jackie, UMR is our incumbent TPA, so we will be keeping our current network of providers, and their pricing was consistent with their current contract. So it's my recommendation that we award the third-party administrator for medical services contract to UMR.
Just define a little bit more on what you mean by administrator.
The third-party administrator, that's a great question for Jackie to define.
Okay. I just wanna make sure the board, you know,
I can take it.
It's a good pass.
Why, you wanna take it, or you want me to answer?
Am I allowed to?
All right, all right.
Well, it's up to you, boss.
Okay, Jackie, I'm chairing this meeting. Jackie, go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to remind the board that I'm paid by the hour.
So a third-party administrator is an individual that administers all of our medical claims. So basically, all they're doing is they're paying on our behalf on what our plan document states. And right now, UMR is our third-party
Right.
administrator.
Just wanted to make sure everybody knows this.
Yep.
A motion to award contract to our
What was
third.
their name before who bought them out?
Pomco.
Pomco, yeah.
Alright.
A motion to award contract to UMR for third-party administrator. I need a motion.
Can I ask a quick question?
So
Yeah,
moved.
go right ahead. Yeah, we moved it by Luell, and Tony has a question.
Yeah, quick question.
Sure. take it.
As we deal with these third-party entities, is there any criteria about diversity on their side? Like, do any of these companies, are we checking with any of these companies to see if they support
Minority,
diversity?
women.
Absolutely.
So all of our contracts do have an EEO policy statement that they have to submit to us, and we do track their EEO numbers. We submit
Perfect.
all of that information to the state on a quarterly basis,
All right, thank you.
Plus, we also have the MWBU right now.
which is not on this contract, but yes.
Okay.
Good question, Tony.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, so we have a motion by Luell. We have discussion. Second.
Darlene?
Okay, second by Darlene. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Aye.
Now we're gonna talk about third party for dental services. Caitlin,
Yes.
that's resolution 3C.
So this will also be paid for with operating funds. The request for proposal was publicly let on August 12th. We sent out 6 proposal packages, and an additional 9 proposal packages were requested. On September 2nd, we received 3 proposals, and along with our consultant, one group, the evaluation committee determined that Delta Dental offered the most advantageous proposal. They are also our incumbent for dental services, so we will be keeping our same provider network, and their pricing was actually for admin fees slightly lower than their current contract. So it's my recommendation that the board award the third-party administrator for dental services to Delta Dental.
Any questions?
Where are they at?
Delta Dental, where are they at? That's a great question.
Hold on a
We're
second.
done.
New York. New York.
You thought I used to be tough.
Yeah.
Are they around Albany area, Nick?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. They might be around the Capital District, because I know,
Does anybody have Google on their phone?
I know they're pretty big with UUP and
Are they?
everything from a
Okay.
statewide benefit for teachers through the SUNY system.
So
Chris,
is
you wanna check?
UMR, that's why I asked. Anyway.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay, so I need, any other questions? If not, I need a motion to move this. Okay, Monty, second. Julius, all in favor? Aye. Okay,
Aye.
thank you. Okay, actuarial services, this is something that can put you to sleep. Okay? Before we get into that, I would like Linda,
Like numbers.
I would like Linda just to explain actuarial services.
Oh, thank you. You're joking, right?
Well, no.
Go ahead, Brian.
Okay, when we hire actuarial services,
As long as
okay?
Jackie's okay with me talking, I'll
Yeah.
take it.
Actuarial services, okay, what we do, they're kind of a third party, okay? That will look in and forecast maybe our potential liabilities in the future. It could be, for example, what our future health insurance commitments could be, okay? OPEG, which is very common with municipal governments, because we have to report what these liabilities are. We don't use, okay, we all know we trust our folks here, but we have a third party, almost like an auditor, okay, blessing that, because OPEG, which is this, they wanna know how much it costs, but it's an unfunded, an unfunded number which shows this future liability, and you'll see sometimes with municipalities, this enormous liability out there for future health insurance. Like, for example, I'll pick on the city of Syracuse. I mean, it's probably a big one out there, okay? But it's not, it's not funded, it's not funded.
Ours is about 45, 48 million, something.
Right.
I think last year was about 36 million.
Right. So this is something that came in probably, I would say, in the last 10 to 15 years where this reporting had to happen, and that's why these actuaries really grew. They're in high demand. It's number crunching. I mean, I guess you gotta love it to do it, because I could never see myself doing it, even though I understand it. That's what this is kind of about, but we have to have this we have to have this third party confirm these numbers, and we'll see this in our annual audit. Those,
And we have to do it,
like,
as Nick has mentioned, we have to do it for the OPEB, we also have to do it for our pensions. You know, we have to
And-
maintain a certain level of funding.
and I'll tell you when I was a little bit worried where we called them in, Brian and I at the time, years ago during the market dip of the 08, 09, the Great Recession, we were concerned, the board, about meeting our pension liabilities because of the decrease in the stock market. So we actually, that's the people we talked to say, is it funded enough to sustain through this really tough time in the market? Julius?
One question, you say unfunded?
Unfunded.
We're not required to fund the,
Oh, okay.
OPEB.
Yeah.
We're not required.
No.
Right.
No.
All right.
Robert?
Yeah,
That's another brilliant government action.
Okay, with the healthcare liabilities, unlike the pension liabilities, the healthcare aren't necessarily obligations because that environment could change.
Sure.
Correct.
Yep.
Meaning it's just a projection about what the the bill
Possible.
may be, but the laws could change
Yeah.
on healthcare, so that it may be zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, once again, it's very, very common with government municipalities. This is not a state, this is federal. This comes down from the Fed. Okay, so with that being said, contract, we want to award actuarial services. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So this will be paid for with operating funds.
Both get our hands
The,
full.
the request for proposal was publicly led on September 21st. We sent out 19 proposal packages, 8 of which went to minority and women-owned business enterprises, and an additional 19 proposals were requested. On October 13th, we received 4 proposals, and the evaluation committee determined that the most advantageous proposal came from Boomershine Consulting. So Boomershine Consulting came very highly recommended by their references, one of which was the Sister Transit Authority. And one of the things that they did highlight in their proposal that speaks to the discussion that we just had was Boomershine, stated, and their references stated that they're very good at making all of these numbers make sense to the layman. So we can understand what their report says. So with that, we do recommend that the board award the actuarial services contract to Boomershine Consulting for a full 5-year term.
Was the feedback on DFA that bad that you just sort of looked at them and said,
Yeah,
yeah,
let's just remember public meeting, okay, so.
Yeah,
Yep.
actually,
That's a good question, that's a great question, but let's just.
And
They-
if you can talk
Yeah,
a little bit
excellent.
about the process we went through. And-
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a set of evaluation criteria that we send out with the proposal document. So what we do is we go back, we read through all the proposals that we receive, and then we score them on those evaluation criteria that were previously weighted. So what you're seeing here is the vendor that scored the highest throughout all of our evaluation criteria, which speaks to technical capacity, experience, and then also information feedback from the references.
Yeah, so that's a great question, Joe, because I
Yeah.
just pointed this, so you really got in my mind, Joe, so thank you very much.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you ever get bad? I mean, I guess it's kind of like a job interview. Would you give a bad reference? Would I list you?
It certainly, we get those, what's the word I'm trying to say, regular references where, yes, they were good, and then we get those very highly rated references, which we got here for Boomer Shine, that people were just raving about them.
And the technical capacity and, all of that's rated.
Okay.
Plus
Locations,
it's-
local agents and representatives, things like that.
Plus it's a really cool sounding name.
With the,
Okay.
with the minority and business, and women business owners, did any of them return them?
Did any of them return
Return
like
the
their?
bid?
No, we don't typically have the certified vendors, return the bid or the proposal as a prime vendor. But we do have people reach out to us and say, I'm interested in subcontracting on this, and
Gotcha.
we send them their information to all of our prime vendors.
Gotcha, okay, thank you.
Robert?
Yeah, we have
And-
quite a few
I would think that's how they were.
subcontractors.
Subcontractor.
In the
Yeah,
past,
perfect.
we used Don Shepherd.
Yes.
Don retired.
Okay, he
Yeah.
did retire.
Yeah, he did not reply to this.
Sometime it.
Actually, Rick and I met with him about a year and a half ago, and he told us he was done.
If you listen sometimes to the amount of packets that go out, it's enormous. Then you listen to how many come back, it's not as many.
Yeah.
And if you ever look at it,
Almost that amount.
if you ever look at our packets when they do go out, they're really involved. I mean, extremely involved. But we're just trying to follow the protocol, policies, and procedures that are set forth by the state, by the authority. But it's a lot of work. It's a
So
lot of work.
Our RFP package used to be 84 pages long. 84.
Ish, yeah, depending on the contract.
I asked Kate to whittle out everything that wasn't absolutely required. She got it down to 42.
Just think about that though for a minute. Some people get bored after reading 5 pages, okay?
And that's the challenge we face. I mean, it's, if you look at it from a private company standpoint, why? I mean, why do business with us? And that's the biggest issue. So, yeah, they're interested initially, and they might request a packet, but we don't get the responses.
Okay, with that being said, if there's any more discussion, this was a great discussion. I need a motion to move Firmenshine Consulting for actuarial services. Monty?
So moved, Darlene.
Second, Darlene. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Aye.
Okay. Caitlin, the transit vehicle tug purchase, this is resolution 3E.
Yes, this will be paid for with grant funding and 80-10-10 split between federal, state, and local funds. So we are looking to purchase an Eagle Transit Pro Tug, and this is going to assist our maintenance department in safely pushing and pulling vehicles throughout the garage, jump starting batteries, filling airs in the tires, and this is to be used here at our Cortland Ave facility. So we received pricing from Kirk's Automotive, and they offered a price of $104,130 for the unit. And this is a sole source purchase through Kirk's Automotive, as they are the only authorized distributor of the Eagle Transit Tug. So we're looking for the board to award the transit vehicle tug purchase to Kirk's Automotive.
Tow truck. Not necessarily.
No.
It's a tow truck.
I mean, a bigger, for a bus.
No, it's actually like the size of a Bobcat. I mean,
Really?
yeah, it's not huge.
The big ones are a lot more, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What's
No,
the availability? What's the time frame on,
It's
They
a
gotta-
5 to 6 month lead time on
Yeah,
this.
they
it's
gotta
not so
build it.
bad.
Yeah.
They gotta build it.
Yeah, that's
Not like
pretty
we-
good.
Not like we have somewhere else to go.
Well, right now, I mean.
Some of the stuff's a year, 18
Quite
months.
honestly, right now, we're basically using a forklift.
A couple of guys in a forklift?
Yeah, it's a hand jack.
The tug is used at the airport, that's what they use to
Push
move.
planes around with?
Exactly.
Oh,
No, they're a little
same
bigger.
idea.
We're getting a little bit smaller one, that's what it is.
But it's a similar process.
Yes.
I've been watching it on YouTube.
Quite honestly, this is gonna go a long way with the maintenance staff and morale building, and because
It's more efficient.
yes.
Efficient is more safe.
It's safer, it's easier, it's everything.
Okay, motion to award contract for the vehicle, transit vehicle tug purchase to Kirk's Automotive. Motion by Tony, second by Neil. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
moving forward to a lift equipment vehicle purchase. Chris, you did such a great job last week, you're coming back up, okay? It's resolution 3F. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. This resolution is for Lift Equipped Vehicle Services A. This contract will be paid for using operating funds. The invitation for bid was publicly let on September 14th. 19 bid packages were sent out, of which 7 were sent to minority and women-owned business enterprises. 12 additional bid packages were requested. On October 5th, 2 bids were received, with the lowest responsible bidder being Suburban Transportation. There is currently a full waiver for MWGE participation pending with New York State Empire Development. Therefore, it is our recommendation that the board award for a full 5-year term the contract to Suburban Transportation.
Okay. Questions for Chris? If not, I need a motion to move it. Julia, second. Bob, all in favor? Aye. Very good. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay. Linda, anything else we need to discuss?
You have all your supplemental information in your board packet.
Good questions from the committee this morning. I think it was really good interaction. Very, very good. That concludes our audit and finance committee. Let's take 5, and then we'll reconvene.